Hello everyone and welcome to yet another episode of Red Cape Sports. Today I'm so glad that you're all going to be joining me on my walk. I try to get out as much as possible around this time specifically, just to get all my exercise that I can at least, while we're kind of quarantined because of COVID-19. But anyway, I thought today would be a cool episode if I could share my story in terms of how I personally got into sports cards, both collecting, buying, selling, the memories behind it. It's an awesome hobby, and I know that everyone else has their stories, so please guys, do not shy. Definitely let us know how you first began either collecting, buying, or selling sports cards down below in the description. Or, of course, our Facebook page is also a great spot to do that. So, without further ado, here's how I got into sports cards. When I was about, 5-6 years old, I got my first complete set of baseball cards, which is a pretty great gift for any kid. It was 2000 Major League Baseball, Topps specifically. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's Miguel Cabrera's rookie season. So I had that card. No idea where it is right now. Roger Clemens, Mike Piazza, Chipper Jones, Derek Jeter. Just a really good era for baseball. Probably because it was the steroids, but nevertheless, it was fun. And I never really looked at those cards often. Because I didn't really know what they meant. So yeah, at the end of the day, it was a great gift and it was really important to me. But I guess I just wish that I had someone kind of explain what the cards meant more to me, My dad got us the cards, and which was great. He never really went over into what the cards were. So anyway, all that just to say that the cards kind of sat and collected dust for a while. Now, I guess the best memory I have of me actually going to stores and collecting cards. Now, I lived out in more of the county, which obviously I don't live anywhere in the county right now, but out in the county, you really don't have a local card shop. It's just the reality. So we had to wait until we went over to the States, to places like Target, to places like Walmart. And I was just like an 8-year-old kid. My brother Mitch, you all know Mitch. Regardless of what he says, this kid was a superstar baseball player. So he was always competing in the States every single weekend. And, he'd be playing 3-4 games every day on the weekends. So my mom and I had to kill some time, and we would often go out to Target and she'd give me, $5-10. So as an 8-year-old in Target, what are you going to do with $5-10? I was really into sports. My brother was playing baseball. So I would actually go out and buy packs of cards. Sometimes I would actually even collect, I don't know what it was. It was like a plastic tin, I guess, and you got like 100 random sports cards for like $5-10, whatever it was. None of these cards were none of these cards were really good. It's just the reality of things. Like, they weren't good. But to me as an 8-year-old, I really enjoyed the pictures. I really enjoyed the cards themselves. And I guess as an 8-year-old, you're really just not into the hobby for all the wrong reasons, we'll say, just to flip and to make money. You're into it because you enjoy the players, you enjoy the aesthetics, and you enjoy having, I guess, a collection and in a pastime. I think it's really important to note as well that my friend Matt Denno, so shout out to Matt, phenomenal baseball player, by the way, he also collected sports cards. Much like me, he was never really allowed to trade. Our parents didn't want us to make decisions that I guess we would end up regretting in the future. So that was pretty important. Now, Matt actually did live closer to a convenience store than I did, I guess, and that's where he got all his packs. But I remember we pulled a Dwayne Wade card. Wasn't a rookie card, wasn't anything. This was probably around, I don't know, Dwayne Wade's second or third year. And of course we were both huge Dwayne Wade fans. So we started collecting. And I lived in the basement at the time with my parents, and I had this awesome poster size thing. And I realized that perfectly it would hold 15 cards. So it would hold 15 cards. And that's when it dawned on me that, like, you know, most players play 10 to 15 years. So I thought, how cool would that be if I got a Dwayne Wade rookie card, his second year, his third year, all the way until his 15th year. Now, mind you, this is something that I never did. Nope. I think I made it to like year 1, 2, 3, 4 at max. Because the truth is, once LeBron James joined the Miami Heat, and I was a big Heat fan because of Dwayne Wade, but once LeBron joined, I'm like, nope. I got so much heat, so much flack. Everyone's like, man, you're just a bandwagon, the whole 9 yards. So I actually stopped collecting sports cards from that instant. So I was collecting sports cards pretty heavily for a couple years, and I didn't get into it, you know. I probably, let's be realistic here, aside from the rare occasions that I'd go to like Target and just blow some money just because, you know, it's fun to blow money on sports cards, I honestly stopped collecting as a whole for probably until I was about 20 years old again. So, I mean, you're looking at minimum 10 years where I just stopped collecting sports cards. Everyone told me, you know, it's not worth it. At the end of the day, they just collect dust. And I believe them. So that's just a really unfortunate reality of it. So, you know, don't let anyone ever tell you to like not get into the hobby. Also social distancing. That's why I keep going across the street and whatnot. So anyway, the point is I didn't collect cards for just the longest of time. Peer pressure, just things like that. Now, what brought me back into the sports card collecting world? I just love baseball. I love baseball so much. I would collect the rarest players' baseball cards when I first got back into it. BJ Upton. Shout out to BJ Upton, because BJ Upton got me back into the love of baseball itself. Hanley Ramirez got me back into the love of baseball. Jacoby Ellsbury, Evan Longoria, David Wright. Shout out to all these, you know, mid 2005 guys. They really inspired me, you know, and I couldn't really afford their autographs. I couldn't really afford to, you know, fly out to all these American cities where they all played. So I thought, much like my Dwayne Wade collection, let's start collecting these guys, right? I mean, I was fortunate to have a lot of toys and a lot of stuff as a kid, and with that meant I could keep a lot of this stuff. So, pardon me, I ended up collecting all these different sports cards, Topps. Never really knew what Bowman was, but specifically Topps. Topps to me was king, and I got into Topps. But it wasn't until a few years ago where I realized that, like, hey, I have all these cards, what am I gonna do with them? Yeah, you know, I could have just gifted them to people, or I could have just got rid of them, for lack of better terms. But ultimately, what I decided to do was post them on eBay. And surely enough, just wait for that car. But yeah, you know, long story short, I posted it on eBay, and quickly I realized that other people have the same love for this hobby too. You know, I went to a high school where, again, just gonna wait for these people due to the social distancing. Let's cut up through here. So anyways, guys, where was I? Yeah, that's where I was. So I went to a high school where, man, we didn't even have a football team. We didn't have a baseball team. We had a hockey team, and you can ask Mitch, this hockey team would get pumped 23-1. It was not an athletic school. In fact, it was a small Catholic French school. I think I graduated with my graduating class was less than 100 people. So needless to say, I didn't have anyone to share my passion with, anyone to share my hobby with. So it was really difficult to get back into it. And it really wasn't until college that I truthfully got back into the hobby. So Justin and Aaron GoLab, if you guys are watching this video, thank you so much, because you guys, whether you guys know it or not, even though you guys are Cubs fans, down with the Cubs, go Cardinals. But you guys truly got me back into the sport, got me back into the hobby, got me, you just got me excited for baseball again. And that's when I started collecting. That's when I started realizing, RPAs. That's when I started realizing Bowman Chrome, Topps Chrome, and just things like that. There's so many awesome things out in the hobby, and it's not just crappy cards. I quickly realized that sports cards are this hot commodity that, it's not the 90s anymore, guys. We're not in a junk wax era. You can literally go to the store. Matter of fact, I went to the store one day, and I kid you not, guy right in front of me, saw it with my own 2 eyes. He pulled a Mike Trout 1/1 autograph. And that's just the reality, guys. I mean, you can literally pull this stuff. And I mean, at the end of the day, it can be gambling for sure. But if you're truly just doing it to enjoy the hobby and to have fun, then don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Of course, I don't suggest just blowing $250 on packs. I mean, that's not a good way to invest. But if that truly makes you happy, then honestly, I want you guys to do that, because we need fresh blood in the hobby. We need people to love the hobby. And for school right now, I'm actually doing a capstone on the sports card hobby and the sports card industry as a whole. So I've interviewed people who've owned stores and people who have lost these stores, and they claim that they actually lost these stores due to not even recessions, which just due to the fact that the hobby is too expensive, due to the fact that eBay exists, and that it killed the middleman being the local card shop. But the one thing that everyone has in common is we need young, fresh blood. We need kids to get back into this hobby. And I guess one reason or another why I'm making this video is for that exact reason, because I too believe that we need fresh young blood in these card shops, and we need, at the end of the day, that's gonna be our next generation. It's all fine and dandy that Mitch has all these different Zion Williamson rookie cards, but who's gonna buy those cards off him if we don't get younger people in the younger generation into this hobby? So anyways, guys, that's basically how I got into the hobby. I bounced around, and I forgot about the love of the game, I guess. I forgot about why these cards make me happy, even though that they just sit on my desk collecting dust, figuratively speaking. So yeah, guys, just remember, next time you guys see a kid, and if you have even some spare junk card, offer them the card. Tell them why it's important. I remember, today, just as a side gig and as a hobby, I run sports trivia. And I got pretty dang good at sports trivia. My dad would always have us in the car after a baseball game, hockey game, whatever type of sports all my siblings and I played. And he would ask us questions, and sometimes out of the blue questions, but little young me, little bird, whether I was the age of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 or 12, however old I was, I would get these questions. Why? Because I grew up reading these sports cards. I read the back of sports cards. And if you guys stick around this long, you'll quickly realize that my first you know, sports cards were 2000s tops, Major League Baseball. So I was just reading the back of these sports cards, knowing the team's names, knowing these guys' stats, knowing, you know, are they right-handed, are they left-handed, where they're born. And I just became a student of the game. I love all this stuff, guys. I mean, I absolutely just love opening up a new pack of cards, and all the people you meet too, right? Like, I met Frank, and you know, I've known Frank for a few months now, and Frank's just truly a good guy, right? Like, these are the people that we need to support. These are the people that we need to go out and buy from. Of course, you know, if there's a good deal from eBay, go ahead and do that. But the reality is, this sports card hobby and this sports card trading industry, as I've quickly come to realize, if we don't take care of it, just like anything, like if you don't take care of a relationship, if you don't take care of nice things, those nice things will eventually go away. And I know that a lot of you guys aren't gonna like me saying this, but that's the reality with our hobby. We need new blood. We need to ensure that kids are going into it, because the reality is they're not. You know, kids are so glued to their phones nowadays. They're so glued to YouTube. And especially with this global pandemic, so many people aren't doing what I am right now. And, you know, I guess I'm gonna get a lot of flack, even though there's no one around me. But kids aren't even going outside. And that worries me because, you know, going to the baseball games, you see your favorite player, you know, Detroit Tigers marketing campaign does a phenomenal job on hashtag Who's Your Tiger. And for me, it was always Bobby Higginson. He sucked, but, you know, my favorite Detroit Tiger was Bobby Higginson, and I also wanted to collect him. You know, I had favorite players just by growing up and playing the sport. It made me want to watch the sport. And then by translation, it made me want to follow the player. So I get it, guys. I'm rambling on, but I just wanted to share my story on why I got into the hobby, because that also translates into, that's all the stuff that we need to feed these young kids again. We need to feed them curiosity. We need to feed them passion. And there are so much stuff that you can learn just off collecting sports cards. It teaches you organization, teaches you negotiation, it teaches you negotiation skills. And it teaches you so much, you know. I don't want to say I'm an influencer by any means whatsoever, but at the end of the day, if I can just help one more person get into the sports card trading industry, sports card hobby, then you know what, that's phenomenal. I can't wait to just hear people's stories on how they got into sports, and maybe they can kind of just reflect on how they got into this hobby and really just pass it on to the next generation. You know what, that's going to be the title of this video probably. Something to do with the next generation of sports card investors. I do feel like the hobby is growing, absolutely. Gary Vee has certainly helped us all out a lot, you know, pushing the hobby, making sure that athletes like doing it too, you know, all these people with big social media followings. So yeah, guys, that's it. I mean, I've been rambling on for a while. You guys know why I got into it. You guys know how I feel about the future of this hobby. You know, it's going strong, but man, oh man, do we ever need more young people into this hobby? Because they're the future generations. They're the ones who are gonna buy all the Zions off from Mitch. So anyways, guys, together, keep watching. You know, I really do appreciate it. Let's keep growing this community. Let's keep growing this hobby. And, you know, stay safe out there, guys. Till next time.